and they had no plan in attack at all. And the problem was last year, they were so programmed that when they needed to change to attack, when they went behind and when they had an extra man, they didn't know what to do. So the system was ineffective. It was always going to be a system that would give you loads of model victories and make you very competitive and hard to beat. But it was never a system that would deliver Sam Maguire. Now they've tweaked.
Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed with the system, Pat.
Sorry,
that was exactly the system that they plotted last year.
Finish the point first.
The defensive system is still in place, but what they have tweaked is that they are bringing players up forward more in support now. They're moving the ball quicker, they're counter-attacking at pace, and there's more forwards up in support. And the statistics are there, Joe, because in the Ulster final against Down, 11 different scorers. In the match against Cavan, they had 9 different scorers. So they are scoring more.
I think, Pat, it's also wrong. Yeah. I didn't criticise the style of play. I criticised the fact that they were quite cynical last year. They were in fellas' faces shouting and they were trying to get players sent off. I think a style of play is to be admired if they change dramatically the style of play of a team. It's up to legislators if they want to ensure a game is of a particular type. If Jimmy McGuinness wants to play the game, good luck to him if he's able to do it in a different way from everybody else and succeed in doing it, so long as there's no cynicism involved. What I think the legislators have to do is get ahead of the curve, as they have done in every other field game, and try to ensure that the basic principles on which the football game is supposed to be built on, catching and kicking, become the dominant.
But we're not going to criticise it, because I went up to Clones with you, Michael, and we watched Tyrone and Donegal, which was, it wasn't us purists would like a big open game of football with lots of attacking, but it was nevertheless a very intriguing, fascinating, absorbing contest. It was like the footballing equivalent of a game of chess, when one team tried to figure a way through the other. Now, I wouldn't like to be looking at it every day of the week, and unfortunately we're looking at it every day of the week at club football now, but it was like that type of football can still be entertaining and enthralling, even though it's not what us purists want.
All right, lads, obviously we have much more to talk about in this intriguing match and more on the build-up to the game still to come. We'll do that in just a moment after this.
They sort of drove us here, and Dublin defeated us, and they beat us well last year. It may have only been 2 points, but I think they were the far stronger team on the day. But it's something that's drove us to get back here, and we're playing now. They're one of the top teams in the country, and just can't wait to get out in the pitch and do it. So late, and we thought we would hold it out that long, and it's something we've always worked on, and it's something we've prided ourselves on over the last 2 years. So conceding that goal was disappointing, which brought them back into the game, and they had the run of the game, and then I suppose we got that point near the end, just cards took it over to win the game.
Your big teams, the likes of Dublin, Tyrone, Cork, Kerry, are always going to be up there knocking on the door year in, year out. The likes of Mayo also, and it's new to us. We're up and around them this last 2 years, but who say this is going to last? So it's up to us to try and seize the opportunity that's given to us at the moment now, and try and do our best.
Training is key for us, and we'd be hopeful that the 30 guys that are inside there can up the intensity over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully that'll stand to us the next day.
When a lot of us have finished up and not playing anymore, that you can look back on it, and hopefully you look back on it with good memories. But when you're in the thick of it, you just want to concentrate on it and try and drive things on when things are going well.
For the team that we have in here, I think we won't be happy, with maybe, as I said, two or three Ulster titles. We have a bigger picture. We want to win that All Ireland, and I think that this year's maybe as good as chances as any. We're there, as I said. It's going to take a long road next year to be back where we are now, so we're going to make the most of it this year, and as I said, perform to the best we can, and hopefully get to that final.
Yeah, that is Graham Cantor. We're anticipating changes here. It looks like they're going to leave Ray Carey off and Nicholas Murphy and change the whole setup.
Yeah, I think Ray Carey wasn't ready to play anyway, and Nicholas Murphy is more of an impact sub, but it's going to be interesting if they play 2 forwards, Kieran Sheehan and Daniel Goulding. So who's nominally a cornerback? It looks like Cork are going to go for 7 forwards to play on Mark McHugh and make sure that he's not allowed to dictate the game. But Cork themselves have been quite defensive this year too. I think, Joe made a very valid point last year that Cork weren't as organised as other teams and it was holding them back from winning. And to me it has been very obvious that Paul Kerrigan has played a much more defensive role, and other players have adopted a very similar role. So Donegal are going to meet a defensive formation quite similar to themselves.
Getting back to the switches, they're a very bright idea because Nicholas Murphy, the idea of him as a target man was a great idea, but they weren't using him at all. He got 2 balls against Kildare, one was out midfield. Kieran Sheehan, what Kieran Sheehan brings, he's strong, he's comfortable on the ball, but he can kick long range points, and it'll be very interesting probably the second move. So they'll probably push Paddy Kelly up on Mark McHugh. So instead of Mark McHugh parked as a sweeper, now they'll try to get Mark McHugh out as a defender and get him away from the areas. And if Paddy Kelly or whoever's going to be on McHugh pops over 2 or 3 points, well then...
The other big advantage is Goulding is a superb free taker. And when Sheehan went off against Kerry, it meant that Donegal could foul around the middle of the field and weren't penalised. Goulding will kick a lot of those over the bar.
One of the things down through the years that Pat has often looked at with the Cork team is when they run at you, their running game kind of is very strong, and we would like to see that today. Let's put it that way.
Well, certainly against Kildare, Cork ran.
And as the game proceeded, Cork became more and more flummoxed because they weren't able to play their normal game, driving through the middle. So that's the big clash today.
Yeah, so what about that role then that both the lads have mentioned, the roles of Paul Kerrigan and Aidan Walsh there?
Well, Kerrigan and Walsh are very important. One of the reasons Cork have been so miserly this year is both of them are terribly dynamic, and they're using them both as defensive players to counter-attack into the space. And you'll see that what happens is that whenever Cork win possession, both Walsh and Kerrigan in particular, are lying deep in their own defence. It's a good way to break free. Then they're effectively running backs. They run through the middle. The Cork wing half forwards and corner forwards move towards the sideline to give them more room as they come through the middle. And you'll see them, they run in tandem together like this. The two of them come running down the middle, as you can see highlighted on the graphic. Now, as a result of that, they created 4 goal-scoring chances between the two of them against Kildare. Now, here's the downside. The downside is that neither of them are good goal finishers. So of those 4 goal chances, they missed all of them unless you count the fact that one of...
True ago, Marty, about the 6'3" Aidan Walsh, and in my opinion he's one of the most dynamic and exciting players in the game at present. This year he's alternated between midfield and the half-forward line, but it is his surging runs really that have caught the eye this year. He's added also long-range point-taking from frees, and Donegal will have their work cut out to curtail his influence today. Michael Murphy in particular I'm keen in looking at. He's a guy this year, Marty, who has sacrificed his game for the greater good, and everybody in Donegal looks up to him. Like, he can win ball, he can score, he's great leadership, and on top of that he's a wonderful temperament for the game. And a good year can become a great year for him if he can lead Donegal to their second All-Ireland final.
David Coldrick is the match referee. It begins in about 5 minutes time.
That's a signal that what they're going to do is that they're going to rotate quickly, move the ball quickly around the half-forward line and shoot for points for distance. In fact, they've even gone to the extent of playing Fintan Gould at wing half back. Clearly he's going to come forward late, join the play and shoot for scores. This is the way, this is the best way to deal with Donegal, I believe. Dublin were very lucky to get over the line last year when Pat Gilroy elected to keep his defence in position. The way to get at Donegal is to push up on them, push up on McHugh. Now it makes it a very fascinating battle. The thing about Donegal is they're utterly dependable. They won't change their style. They'll be absolutely remorseless. And I still feel that Cork need to put in the best performance that they've ever put in Croke Park to win this game today.
Big atmosphere and big crowd here, Colin O'Rourke, for this match. There's a great excitement build up to it. So Conor Coonahan has, I suppose, maybe thrown the dice in this. Is it going to work?
Well, fair play to him. He's gone for broke. The only one that he has left that will make a big impact now would be Pearse O'Neill. And in some ways this is a game of the collective against the individual stars from Cork, the collective will of Donegal. But it's not a game of chess either. It takes great players to win big games, and Cork are going to have to stand up here. They're heavily outnumbered in terms of support, but down on the pitch is the only place that counts, and good players adapt themselves to whatever is happening on the field, and I feel that Cork have more better players than Donegal.
Pat, do you feel the same way about your neighbours down there in the southwest?
We know what Donegal are going to bring to the table. Defensively, very, very well organised, and they could keep going for 3 or 4 hours. Now, what Cork have done is they're starting with their best team, with their best scorers on the field, and the key is getting a lead, because once Donegal get a lead, they can even protect a 1-point lead. It will be very interesting if Cork can get an early lead, and then that will force Donegal to rearrange their plan. That'll force Donegal to come out of their shell and be more on the offensive. And I think for Donegal to win today, they will have to speculate a little bit more. They will have to be a bit more adventurous, and they will have to put Michael Murphy forward, who's only scored 2 points in playing this year's championship. So Cork have the scorers. I think Cork have better options in attack, and provided they don't get sucked into the Donegal style of play, provided they can move the ball quickly, play the game at pace, break the tackles, have fellas coming in support from both sides, and a few long-range points, I think Cork possibly have the more attacking options, and I think Cork will win.
They have broken from the parade, as you can see. We are minutes away from the start of this intriguing All-Ireland football semi-final. It's back to the commentary box to rejoin Martin Carney and first, Marty Morrissey.
Taking the first free of the afternoon and tapping it over the bar. Donegal are up and running in Croke Park in this semi-final. Goes straight down the middle. Neil Gallagher, and getting his fingertips ahead of Alan O'Connor, then gets the return pass. Waste of possession, easily gathered by Graham Canty. Toddy Kassan for his own Cadigan. Noel O'Leary gone forward. Kassan, good play by Cork. Kerrigan is at the end of it. It's a sweet kick. It's a sweet move, and Cork are on the scoreboard for the first time.
Yeah, that's a lovely score from Kerrigan. That's probably what you see more and more of Cork doing today. Shooting from distance, not coming into the tackle as much as they might have done in the past. That's an excellent opening score for Cork.
And it's interesting, Martin, that it involved Noel O'Leary and Toddy Kassan going forward from a very deep defensive role.
Yes, and also Kerrigan not bringing the ball into the area where there is Donegal traffic, and heavy traffic at that.
Tall Durkin fools everybody, I think, with that kick out. And it's won easily by Paddy Kelly. Skipping away on this occasion from Mark McHugh. And on the turn, sends it straight between the posts. Paddy Kelly is his name, from Ballincollig, and Cork lead for the very first time.
I don't think that kick out went to where it was meant to go. That time it went out to Mark McHugh, who was well beaten in the race for the ball by Paddy Kelly.
Brereton taking on Noel O'Leary. Good speed from the 19-year-old. Lovely skill by Matt Brereton. And the referee blows his whistle, fooling Noel O'Leary completely with some beautiful footwork here. And then
black ball, 40, black ball.
Here he comes. Took his time, fully focused. Toddy Kassan slips one through the centre. Carl Lacey coming in to challenge, and back there is Mark McHugh. Far is Rory Kavanagh, and away come Donegal. There's a little bit of afters going on as well. Kavanagh feeds Anthony Thompson, goes again for that long ball up to Michael Murphy, lays it off, quickly fires McFadden on the turn, scores! Good play, Donegal. And Michael Murphy is a very good target man if they can feed quantity and indeed quality ball into it.
Beautifully punted ball into Murphy that time, who showed out in front of his defender, won the ball well, but the angle of the run from McFadden to come in and support and finish it was top drawer.
That he has to go back more than 5 to 10 metres. Here's Daniel Goulding. It's looking good. And it's over the bar. They're level again. 3 points each for the third time.
Well, we'll all remember Goulding's tour de force in the All-Ireland final, was it 2 years ago, where he scored, was it 9, Marty, during the match, most of them from frees.
Hitting it gracefully and accurately. That's his second of the game. And Donegal took the defender from Douglas on the south side of Cork City under a bit of pressure. He works himself out of trouble. Toddy Kassan now. Flicking it. Kieran Sheehan, nice little dummy. Makes the space as a result, uses the fist to put this over the bar. Good score. That came all the way from goalkeeper Alan Quirk with a short kick out to Owen Can. Mixed signals between himself and his captain. It doesn't happen that often, but I could see quite clearly that Alan Quirk I'd said, leave it to me. Ball from Owen Paddy. Good pressure again from Donegal. Here comes Rory Kavanagh. A little bit of space in front of him. Has a pop, and look at that. Brilliant score by Rory Kavanagh. And Donegal are back in front again.
That's a fabulous score from Kavanagh. And it must be said that time he took on the responsibility. He looked to get Murphy with the quick pass. Didn't
so many kickouts short. It was interesting. The first three, Neil Gallagher was doing well, wasn't he, Mark?
Yes, and they have played the last three short, Mark.
Nice ball from Paul Kerrigan to Colm O'Neill. Nice turn. What about the finish? Quality from Colm O'Neill from Ballyclaw in North Cork. He is a wonderful forward, and the sort of ball he's being fed here, where he runs onto it and turns, is exactly what O'Neill loves.
I think that was Kerrigan that put that ball through to him. Just watch it again with the delightful dink pass from Kerrigan. Great vision, wonderful finish. It's the football so far, and it's intriguing stuff.
This time, Alan Kirk goes low, and the breaking ball is picked up by Pádraig Cassar. Feeds it into the space for Paul Kerrigan. Away goes the speed merchant from Nemo Rangers, taking on the challenge. Lays it back, good play. First Daniel Goulding, deadly on the left. O'Neill is good on left or right. Here he goes, and there is another point for Colm O'Neill. He is posing serious problems for Donegal. Two quick balls, 2 points, one on the left, one on the right.
But once more, it was Kerrigan who made the initial thrust that caused the problems, created the openings. Not sure was it the Gould was involved in the move as well, but you must credit O'Neill with the quality of the score. I think he might have got hurt in taking.
Kick out from Paul Durkin. Oh, great catch by Neil Gallagher. Lays it off to Carl Lacey. Lacey heading towards the 20. He's steadying himself. He's now shooting, and he's scoring! Lacey is the man that comes all the way from centre half back. Given any sort of space, he will punish the opposition, and that's exactly what he did here.
Well, sometimes Donegal are noted for having a slavish...
6 times level. Clever play by Kieran Sheehan. Knocking it back far is Graham Canty. Free is quickly taken by Michael Shields to Kieran Sheehan. Trying to lay it down for Donnacha O'Connor. The layoff is to Sheehan with speed. Heading towards the 20. Here comes Sheehan. Steadies. Will it curl? Will it curl? It will. White flag raised in Croke Park for Kieran Sheehan's second point of this All-Ireland semi-final. Wonderful game of football between the Munster and Ulster champions.
And as you said, good kick out once again from Kirk. Out to the side, and a fast moving of the ball up along the side, not going through the into the game.
Touchdown in the middle of the field. Eventually comes to Rory Kavanagh. Lays it off as Leo McClune. Kavanagh did well. He was under pressure. Anthony Thompson has gone into the attack. Nice turn. Retaining control. Flicks it forward far as David Walsh. What about the sub? Steadies. Has a go and has a score. Sometimes substitutions just simply work. And credit to Jim McGuinness and credit to David Walsh. About 25-30 seconds into the game, this happens, given a bit of space, created initially by Rory Kavanagh, finished by David Walsh. There's Eamon McGee looking around at options. McFadden and Murphy up front. Here comes Carl Lacey. He's done it once already. Holds up the play, waiting for the reinforcements. Slips one through, nice ball in. Powers Mark McHugh. Will he take his point? Yes, he will. Very good counter-attack play by the Ulster champions. Donnacha O'Connor losing the ball inside around the 20-metre line on the Donegal side. Donegal counter-attack, and it ends with a McHugh point.
Yeah, Leo McClune's involvement in that was top drawer. Watch Mark McHugh just looked up to see could he slip it to McFadden. Did the right thing, took the score and puts Donegal into the lead coming into half-time. And Marty in every...
In this summer's first senior football semi-final, Donegal leading Cork by a single point. It is 8 points to 7. Yeah, Joe Brolly, Colin Morg, Pat Spillane here with me in the studio. Pat, we mightn't always agree with the tactics and have issues about them from time to time, but this half of football has been absorbing.
You're right, Michael. This time last year we were here and we were being hypercritical about for what was an absolute turkey of a game. Today, the exact opposite, Michael. Everything you demand of a sporting contest was there in that first half. You had excitement, entertainment, intensity. It was enthralling. 30 amateur footballers producing a great display of football, level 7 times. You couldn't complain. You can say, we can argue about maybe we want to see more foot passes, less hand passes, it's too defensive, but this was a great game of football, and Cork showed how that this great wall of Donegal defenders can be opened up if they, with a bit of variety and with a bit of pace. They'll be disappointed they kick 7 wides. Donegal have gone a little bit more attack oriented today. At least they've taken on board my suggestion of putting Michael Murphy up front, but bar one move, the rest of the ball he's getting has been absolutely Hail Mary kicking. It's aimless, stupid kicking, which is unusual for Donegal, who plan everything to a T. So very enjoyable, Michael. Very,
and you
very
always know
enjoyable.
Colin Moore from the crowd if they are into a game, and they certainly have been into this.
Yeah, well, it's mainly a Donegal crowd, and they've had plenty to shout about, and they're in front, so you would expect them to. But the supporters always react to what's happening on the pitch, and they've reacted to a lot of good scores from play. Early on, there was a lot of cagey play. I think that 16 and 17 kicks for both sides. So if you take out the amount of times that the ball has been kicked for points, you end up with 10 or 12 kicks during the play, and 100 hand passes the rest of the time. But even at that, it's still an intense battle. It's intriguing, and to me, I find it very enjoyable.
No doubt.
The problem,
Joe, you were ticking me off that I didn't give you your final prediction before the match because you wanted to say Donegal would win. They are leading.
Well, look, I think that it's obviously a very, very tight contest, but the difficulty for Cork is this. That's better than I've ever seen Cork playing in Croke Park. Clever, moving the ball really well around the blanket defence, running, moving. They've got all their best forwards in the field. They've kicked 5 or 6 really, really superb scores, and yet they're behind. It's the utter dependability of what Donegal do, and Cork are working extremely hard now, but it's extremely energy sapping. And what Cork are doing, and this is the worry, they're doing something new today, something that they've never done before. The middle has been completely blocked off. Kerrigan tried it 3 or 4 times and he was just sacked. Aidan Walsh hasn't even bothered trying it. But what happened in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the first half, I think, was extremely significant. Cork's last 4 attacks, Donegal interceptions, scores from 2 of them, and they could have had scores from the other 2. Michael Murphy had a bad wide, and Rory Kavanagh had although it was a respectable chance, it was a difficult chance, and you can feel, I would think, that Donegal are exactly where they wish to be now. And the problem for Cork is, having played so well, they're a point behind, and the challenge for Cork is to try and maintain that level of performance in the second half.
Definitely, Colin, earlier on, Cork played with a huge amount of urgency and got some good scores out of it.
They did. They had a lot of bad wides too, Kieran Sheehan and.
But a problem that's beginning to show itself very clearly is that O'Connor is being totally cleaned out by Gallagher. I mean, balls that are being kicked up, 50-50 high balls.
You would expect Cork have an option there.
Nicholas Murphy.
And they have Pierce O'Neill.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Alan O'Connor comes out for the second half.
Because he has cowed him, he's got on top of him psychologically.
I think Pat made the point too. Noel O'Leary is struggling there in his defensive. At the other end, Colm O'Neill is getting the better of Neil McGee. So, even though the game is where there's a lot of men, there are still intriguing individual battles going on.
The bottom line is that it's a big wide field, there's a load of space, and when Cork are playing good attacking football, they're being patient, they're being varied in attack, they're breaking the tackle, they're getting fellas up in support, and they're very good at getting the ball into the 2-man full forward line. And where they're at a disadvantage is when they take the ball into tackle, or they pass before they get the tackle, and the Donegal system is still in place.
And also on that point, Pat,
first Paddy Kelly, who started the process with that long ball in. Paul Kerrigan slipping one through. Nice ball. First Kieran Sheehan lays it back. First Daniel Goulding changes direction again and ends up with Graham Canty, who started it all. Steps by the challenge. He was on his left foot. It's a poor effort as Paul Kerrigan. The reinforcements are behind him in the shape and form of Aidan Walsh, but he goes forward. Now Aidan Walsh is calling for it. Kerrigan turns. It's dropping left and right. And that, for information, is Cork's 8th wide of the game and their 2nd of the second half.
Yeah, and okay, you can blame maybe if you like to the last time Canty and that time Paul.
Goal continue. The counter-attack. In the shape and form of Paddy McBrearty. Laying it off to Paddy McGrath. McBrearty Michael Murphy stepping aside from the challenge. Mark McHugh gives it back to McFadden. Oh, it's a thing of beauty. It's his third point of the game. And McFadden, despite being very tightly marshalled and at times the quality of the ball not the best, he still is on the form of his life. What about that for a score?
That's an exceptional score, Marty. I know coming into the game he has scored something like 323, but that time none of the players seemed to want to take responsibility, but eventually they found McFadden. Just looked up off the outside of the foot, and that's an This
is the challenge again by Aidan Walsh on David Walsh. No relation, as they say. This is the first time, actually, that there have been 2 points between the teams. Not Walsh. Noel O'Leary wasn't expecting the move at all. And Donegal counter-attack. Lack of concentration means that Frank McGlynn is going forward. Poor pass from Aidan Walsh. Ken McGlynn scored. He's done it in Ulster. He's done it in Croke Park. Not bad for a cornerback. A point against Cavan, a point against Derry, a goal against Down in the Ulster final, and now 1 against Cork. It's 10 points to 7.
Wonderful score that time from McGlynn, and once more it was as a consequence of great tackling, intense tackling, relentless tackling from the Donegal players outfield. Turnover, great responsibility taken by McGlynn, fine score.
David Walsh stepping forward to the challenge. Cool under pressure. McBrearty lays it off to McHugh. Backfires Neil Gallagher. Overfires Neil McGee, the full back. Coming forward is Carl Lacey. He scored in the first. He's done it in a second. What a second half performance by the Ulster champions. Look at the scoreboard on the top of your screen. Donegal 11 points, Cork 7. Level 7 times in the first half, and Donegal have stretched, and Cork haven't scored since the 27th minute of the first half.
Well, that's a thunderous second half start from Donegal. The quality of the running off the ball, the movement from Donegal, but the tackling in particular around the middle areas, forcing Cork sideways back.
Good, and there's an extra 13 metres for Paddy Kelly. Everything going wrong for Cork. They just seemed a little bit nervous handling in the second half, the early stages, just a little bit nervous. Here comes Aidan Walsh to settle them down with a score, and it's a really good one. Aidan Walsh with his first point in this All-Ireland semi-final, and it's back to just 3 points between the teams.
And that's the recipe that Cork need to do. Get the ball, little passes like that as from O'Leary to Aidan Walsh, and top it without taking the ball into traffic.
Mark McHugh picks up the loose ball. Quick kick out rather from Paul Durkin. Looking around, very much in control. Carl Lacey. David Walsh, Michael Murphy lays it off as Rory Kavanagh. Gets by 3 Cork defenders. He's on the 20. His options available left and right. Back to Kavanagh. Nice and jigging up. Brilliant block down. Comes back outside to Anthony Thompson, and that's over the bar. It's the real first goal-scoring opportunity for Donegal, and Cork were all over the shop here, and just at the last second managed to get a touch out, and the ball sent over the bar by Anthony Thompson.
That's a wonderful piece of coordinated play at that time by Kavanagh. Just watch him knifing through the defence, plays it off to Thompson, a little 1-2. Good save by the Cork goalkeeper. Thompson, presence of mind, there in abundance, good score.
Back to 4 points again. Paddy Kelly, Kieran Sheehan, having a go from way out. Not a great ball for Colm O'Neill, but he gathers it. He's inside, he's there, he's almost there. Comes back off the crossbar. Hot break for the Cork team. Centimetres away from cracking the back of the net. And Donegal, their speciality is the counter-attack. Look at this from Leo McLeod. In Ferris McFadden. Cork defender is down. McFadden has the time, but he sends it left and wide. Got inside, had a crack off the crossbar.
Yeah, and then you look at the actual quality of the counter-attack. The McFadden should have finished, but O'Neill will be most unlucky not to have finished that to the net. And what?
And away comes Daniel Goulden. Aidan Walsh. Down first, Kieran Sheehan. Good from here. It's very good. It's his third point of the match, all from play, off the boot of Kieran Sheehan.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's one of those lads that's on fire today. If you can get the ball in the scoring area, Walsh, interestingly enough, we might have been complaining about hand passes and all of that in the first half, but the quality of the foot pass that time from Mark McHugh to Murphy, who showed very well, was just a delight to watch. And Murphy did the
debut against Down back in 0-2. Lifetime ambition is to get to that All-Ireland final. Is it possible? Certainly looking good at the moment. Back there too is Mark McHugh. Paddy McBurton. McHugh gone for the return pass. McHugh going full steam, but instead it's given past David Walsh. McBurton again. Steady, shoots. Is this over? No, it's not. It's 9 wides for Donegal. 30 is 6 foot. Michael Murphy is 6'2". McFadden is 6 foot. There are no slouches when it comes to physique, I can tell you. Here comes Michael Murphy. 45, outside the 45. He curls it. Oh, magnificent play by Michael Murphy. Great free. Into the hill 16. And look at that scoreboard. 14 points to 9. And Cork, monster. Here's McFadden. Score of 4 points. Back outside first, Michael Murphy. Score of 3. Chance for Rory Kavanagh. Score of 1 in the first. Is it good enough? It's not. Is the fullback to Noel O'Leary, who's been playing a cornerback. Colm O'Neill being the main threat up front. Back out again first, Michael Shields. Paul Kerrigan calls for it. On the 45. Steadies and takes a shot. And that is a wonderful score by Paul Kerrigan. That's his second of the game. Cork are not gone home yet.
Far from it indeed, and once again it's that ball launched from outside the defensive screen that is the secret, provided you can kick it accurately.
Sprawling contest between the provincial champions of Munster and Ulster. McFadden kicks it neatly, and that is over the bar. Makes a little bit of space for himself. It's dropping. Paul Durkin is underneath it. Can he get a touch? Corkman gets a touch, but Carl Lacey is there. Neil McGee is down injured. Paul Durkin telling him to get up as Donegal counter-attack. And away come Donegal. This is when they're really at their most dangerous. Paddy McBurton lays it off. First Frank McGlynn. Neil McGee going forward. Floating one in. It's 1 against 1 here. Murphy's at the end of it. And Alan Quirk is there as well, the keeper.
Play football, he had so little mobility, but the conditioning that he has managed to achieve, fantastic.
Pulls up the play. Gone forward is Anthony Thompson. He scored once already. This time it's wide. Laying it off as Aidan Walsh. Kieran Sheehan getting by David Coldrick, the referee. He's looking to see who's making the run. Here's a man who can score goals. Colm O'Neill on the turn. Quickly hits it over the bar for his 3rd point of this semi-final, and just brings Cork a little bit closer.
Yeah, good score once again for O'Neill. Nice move up along the far side, but notice Donegal are slowing things down a little bit.
Has to go there a second time. Chips it up first, Paddy McBurton. Away comes Mark McElhenney. Frank McGlynn. They're in the middle of the field at this stage as Donegal counter-attack, soak up the pressure, and then counter-attack. In space, Mark McElhenney tapping this over the crossbar. Surely it's Donegal's day in Croke Park, and the Ulster champions are looking good. They came in their thousands from Bundoran, from Donegal Town, from Ballybofey. Donegal outnumbering the Cork supporters in Croke Park, and they are now beginning to sing. They're beginning to enjoy the moment. Situation in the middle of the field, gets by Dennis Walsh. Still Michael Murphy. Laying it off as the substitute. This is Declan Walsh. Donegal retain possession. Colm McFadden. The Ulster champions have come to Croke Park, and surely at this stage, with exactly 69 minutes and 27 seconds played, surely have booked a place in the All-Ireland final against Dublin or Mayo. It's Paul Kerrigan. stepping aside the challenge, going long, very long, up towards Nicholas Murphy. Murphy, Cork need to produce something special out of this. Nice ball inside, it's Aidan Walsh. Donegal back there defending. Paddy Kelly laying it off. There's a chance here. Here comes the shot. Blocked down magnificently. There's a wall of green and gold jerseys there. And Donegal celebrate. Neil McGee tells them to step up, get up, but the Donegal defender still down on the ground, winded. And he comes away with David Walsh. 3 minutes of additional time. Paddy McGrath. Back there too is centre half forward Leo McClune. Looks like it was Mark McHugh that blocked it. I'll give you that in a moment as I keep an eye on the ball in the middle of the field. Neil Gallagher comes away with it, lays it off. Donegal, 55,169 attendance, thoroughly enjoying, the majority of them from Donegal, thoroughly enjoying this moment. Cork were the hot favourites, but Donegal have produced the goods. Back for us, Neil Gallagher. Donegal retain the possession. Time ticking away. We're into injury time. 3 minutes of injury time to be played. We already have 1 minute on the clock knocked away. Mark McHugh gives it out for as Michael Murphy. David Walsh loses possession. Kieran Sheehan. Cork with one last attack. Down towards Colin O'Neill. He's inside. He scored a goal. 71 minutes, 20 seconds played, and Cork are back in this All-Ireland semi-final. Just when we were writing them off, the long ball finally worked. O'Neill got inside the cover and he tucked it away beautifully past Paul Durkin. Now we have a nervous jangling. Will Michael Murphy's kick go straight over the bar, go wide? He has to kill it, really. He goes for it. It's curling left and it's wide. And he delayed the kick out from Alan Quirk. Alan Quirk takes it quickly. Out far is Michael Shields. 73 minutes, 22 seconds. The full-time whistle is blown. Donegal are in the All-Ireland final. For the first time in 20 years, for the second time in their history. Mark McHugh will celebrate like his dad did 20 years ago, like his Uncle James did, like this manager, Jim McGuinness, who strategically has developed a game of football that suits his players. They have dreamt, they have worked, they have journeyed together, and they are now there, ready to face on the 23rd of September, either Dublin or Mayo. And nobody, absolutely nobody, can take it away from Donegal. This was richly deserved.
Absolutely, marking a day of celebration for Donegal. The power of the collective is what went out today. A magnificent achievement by them, a wonderful triumph of our organisation, of spirit, and of total belief in the system that McGuinness put in place at the beginning of the year. You know, he recognised the need to re-evaluate the way they play and maybe to revise the way Gaelic football was played. But it's a credit to him that he expanded things this year. He has actually perfected the whole thing of a counter-attack. But those 18 or 19 players that came on today deserve the greater credit. They fully merited that victory. They came in here as underdogs. They came in here with a lot of people not giving them a lot of hope. But all year they have been a credit, and they fully deserve to be in their second All-Ireland.
Oh, joy indeed for Donegal.
Sunday, September the 23rd. Joe Brolly, that was an incredible performance by Donegal.
Well, I think that the pattern of the game, you know, in the second half was virtually inevitable. They're virtually impossible to beat. I'm not saying that they're unbeatable, but they're not far off it. And Cork unravelled very quickly through the second half. It's a very, very demoralising team to play against, and it is, I'm not sure that brilliant is a sufficient word to describe what Jim McGuinness has achieved with this group, because every single aspect of Gaelic football, every single aspect of what had to be done to get them here, you think of it this way. 2 years ago, this same squad of players, 3 years ago, was beaten by Cork by, I think, 15 points here in Croke Park, virtually the same Cork team. And now Donegal are, in my mind, you know, going to win an All-Ireland. The question is, how long can they sustain that beyond it? But there's no doubt that it's been a brilliant...
Don't think that'll bother them too much if they win this year's All-Ireland.
A brilliant conception by Jim McGuinness from start to finish, every aspect of it, and I mean, you saw it for yourself there today. Cork just simply couldn't play against it when it came down to it.
Yeah, I think that's true. And, you know, in many ways, Donegal humiliated Cork in the second half. And I think a proper reflection of the superiority of Donegal would be if they won the game by 7 or 8 points, because they were that much superior. And players like Neil Gallagher and Colin McFadden and Frank McGlynn, they were great. I also thought a man who played a huge role in the winning of the game was Paul Durkin with his kickouts, because before the game we thought Cork were going to dominate in kickouts around the middle of the field, and he kicked his kickouts in such a way that they were won a lot of the time by Donegal players, or broke, and Donegal were much fiercer on the ground. So it's a great win for Donegal. It's richly deserved. They've changed the face of Gaelic football to a point. You know, it's something that people can debate about the attractiveness or otherwise of it, but when you look at the way they played today, they were a much superior force than Cork.
And you look at the excitement, Pat, on the faces of their supporters. Whatever style got them here, they will bring some atmosphere to this All-Ireland final.
Absolutely.
Whoever they play.
It was a great victory for Donegal for a start. I mean, the 2-point winning margin is completely misleading. There were 7 or 8 points a better team than Cork, because Cork were just blown out the gate in that second half. Secondly, it's good for Gaelic football, because Gaelic football needs new teams at the top table, needs new teams in the All-Ireland final. That's why it is great to see Donegal back after 20 years. It would be just as good if you saw Mayo, a Donegal-Mayo final, but it was a brilliant performance from Donegal. As Martin Carney alluded to in the commentary, it was the power of the collective. You know, it wasn't just an individual or a couple of individuals that won that. It was everyone that played on that field of play, and there were fellas who played with belief, composure, confidence. I mean, they remind me so much of the Dubs of last year, you know, in the way they've transformed, raw and naive in their first year, but now believing in the manager's philosophy. They're a tremendous, honest bunch of players. You know, they give 100%. Their strength and conditioning for amateur players is absolutely unbelievable. And I was just reading an article by Rory Kavanagh today in the paper, and just talking about the sacrifices. And Jimmy Guinness came to Rory Kavanagh, who was at 28 years of age, a journeyman footballer, journeyman inter-county, and he said, look, we're going to play you at midfield, but you need to bulk up. You need to put on 1.5 stone. So what had Rory to do? Outside of going to the gym, he had to eat 8 meals a day, 2 lunches and 2 dinners. He said that was hard, because try eating when you're not hungry, and also to take whey protein as well, drinks. It's phenomenal. They bought into his philosophy, they bought into his work ethic, and it's paying off, and it deserved.
Now we know how to win All-Ireland, eat 8 meals a day. OK, much more.
Hard luck today, obviously. What do you think went wrong from a Cork point of view?
I suppose, look, just tit for tat up to half time. Second half, I think Donegal, you know, took a bit of control there, got a few scores, and you know, we probably panicked a little, gave a few turnovers and things like that. But look, to be fair to Donegal, they were a better team on the day. There's no disputing that. And you know, things like that happen on particular days. I can't fault my fellas. They've given us everything over a good number of years, and you know, this is the other side of it, and we have to take that on the chin.
Yeah, I noticed with about 10 minutes to go, you were telling your players just to calm down.
Yeah, well, you know, I felt we were taking the wrong options and things like that. And if you do get excited, you tend to take the wrong options. To keep the game alive, you have to keep your head, and maybe at times we didn't pick great options.
Donegal are such a fit team, and the amount of running they did all over the pitch, do you think they had an edge on you fitness-wise?
I'm not so sure. I suppose, you know, when teams win, everything is evaluated one way as against the other. Look, I think they used the ball better when they got it, to be fair to them, and I think that was the key issue.
You threw everything at it tactically, especially from the very, very start. Do you think that you got it all right today?
Well, I suppose it's like the fitness element. When you don't win, everything is wrong, and I don't think that's quite true. Maybe we could have done things better, but look, it's history now, and we have to move on. And you know, wish Donegal the best. They were the better team on the day.
Well, thanks very much, Conor, and hard luck today.
Thanks.
Superfluous word in the training. There won't be a superfluous drill, and. You know, I mean, I know I've made the point before, but I do think it bears repetition that this has been an astonishingly successful experiment by Jim McGuinness against all the odds, and in the face of huge public opprobrium, you know.
Well, speaking of Jim McGuinness, let's hear from him. He's talking to Joanne.
Jim, congratulations on an All-Ireland final to look forward to. I know you had a nervy few minutes at the end, but up to that point, did those players do pretty much what you asked of them?
Well, probably, yeah. I suppose first half we were a wee bit lethargic, I felt. Weren't really at ourselves. The occasion was big, stakes were fairly high. They'd never been in a final before, so it's, I suppose, normal enough in that situation. Got them in at half time, settled them down a bit, found their rhythm a wee bit more, you know, got up the field a wee bit more in the second half. Our running game came a bit more smoother to us, and we kind of pushed on fairly nicely there towards the end. And unfortunately, overplayed the ball too much. You know, maybe we got caught up in the whole situation with the crowd celebrating every pass or something, but we should have just stayed professional, keep the ball moving, and try and take the fight to them. And we got punished with a goal, you know. And obviously, with a couple of minutes to go, you know, your heart's in your mouth then, you know, at the thought of maybe another one. So there's a lesson there for us. But just delighted to be in the final. You know, it's a long road to get to an All-Ireland final, particularly when you start in May in the preliminary round of Ulster. But we're there now, thank God, and we've a month ahead of us now, which I'm just after saying to the lads in the dressing room will be one of the best of their life, you know, and their whole life will just focus towards this game now, which is fantastic for them. It's great, I suppose, reward for the work they've put in, and we just hope now that, you know, that we've come this far, we can sort of finish the job off in 4 weeks' time.
Well, looking at today's game, Michael Murphy played more towards the edge of the square for much of the game. Did you feel that was something that was necessary for today?
Well, I suppose every day we play, we have a different sort of approach to it, you know, depending on ourselves and personnel, and also depending on the opposition, you know. And he has been coming, I said that to you before the game, he has been coming on good in training, and, you know, he has only played 5 games, that's his 6th now since February. So I think he's in very good shape and very sharp for what he has under his belt, and another month will do Michael no harm as well, you know. And we've just felt, I suppose, today that Michael, Colin and Patrick would probably be most dangerous closer to goal, and I think we got in some good quality ball in the first half, and then maybe we forced a few balls in there as well. And so there's a few things to work on, definitely, but I suppose for the supporters and for the players themselves, the key thing was to get over the line, and we've done that now. And as I say, look forward to a really good, I suppose, focused month for the next 4 weeks, and look forward to the All-Ireland final.
Well, I hope you enjoy the next month as well. Well done today, Jim. Thanks.
Yeah, it's fantastic though for Donegal people, because they always feel a bit isolated up there in the northwest, and maybe that they haven't been taken seriously enough in a football context. Now they've come to Croke Park and performed it every day. They've beaten Kerry, they've beaten Cork, and the likelihood is that they may have to beat the defending All-Ireland champions if they can get over Mayo next Sunday. They've also beaten Tyrone, so they are going to have to probably beat the only teams who have won the All-Ireland for the last decade, which would be a phenomenal achievement. But it would be hard to see Donegal not coming to the All-Ireland final and performing. You know, sometimes you talk about teams flopping or the occasion is too big. You get this sense of looking at the Donegal team that they have such a mentality that they certainly won't flop on the big day.
Well, that's one for another day, but that's where we have to.
We've worked hard over the last 18 months, you know, and everybody, I would say everybody in that dressing room could run just as much as me if they're in the position I have. You know, there's boys coming to Carl Lacey and Frank McGlynn, and them boys didn't stop either all day. So, you know, it's a collective game, it's a collective one out there today, and as I said, we're delighted to be in the position we're in, Joanne, and we're really looking forward to 4 weeks' time.
Just tit for support that we had out there today, it was absolutely immense, and you want to do a job for the whole of your county and for each and every person that travelled up here today and the people that are at home in Donegal, you know, and that's what it's all about. You know, we're a football mad county, you know, like any other county I suppose about, and you're just trying to do your best for them on any given day, and we're delighted we could come up trumps today.
Jim, he's huge belief in us, and you know, he spoke to us and he says there's definitely an All-Ireland in this team, and you know, we believed in that, and we worked hard and we knuckled down, and you know, 2 years later we're eventually there, and it's great.
We're there now, thank God. And
to appreciate them at the whistle. Yeah, it was great days. I was at the match and at the end of the game to see, you know, the Donegal support and everything else. The cheer went up. I mean, this is only our 2nd time ever for the county to be in All-Ireland final, and that's what it means to us. So much it means to us, you know. But I think the one good thing about them is they're very level-headed, the bunch of players themselves, and you know, there's some great performance of the day. And I think even talking to the Cork players afterwards, they didn't expect the intensity they got, and Kerry said the exact same thing when they played them, you know. And I just think, looking at the game from Cork's point of view, and I think the mistake that Cork made, in my opinion, was that they looked at Donegal and they changed their team to suit Donegal. If you take just a simple one of Donogh O'Connor, who's a very good inside player and has had a great year, they started him at wing half forward, started Kerrigan at full forward. So they tried to disrupt the Donegal team, and it didn't work for them. Donegal won the battle on the sideline, which was a big battle. They won the tactical battle, won that. So it's great. Look, it'll be a great night in Donegal tonight. It'll be great, you know, after tomorrow, be getting ready for the final. But I don't know where we're going to get the tickets from, Des. That's going to be the biggest problem. I'm a bit worried about that myself. Kieran, from your point of view, neutral point of view, what do you make of Donegal's performance?
It blew the myth out of the water today that there's anything wrong with the modern game, you know. It was a fantastic game of football, great entertainment, the best game of the year by far. Donegal were fully deserved victors at the end. They ran Cork into the ground. 8 players scored from play. They only conceded 1 kickable free in the game. You know, they dictated the terms of the game, as Martin says, and they've done that all year. And even tactically, how they set up today, you know, they used the long ball in the first half, which we haven't seen them use all year, and they nearly put Cork into a false sense of security at half-time. They came out in the second half, and 3 of the first 4 points came from defenders. You know, Anthony Thompson, you know, your Frank McGlynn and Carl Lacey bombing forward, and they went back to the game plan. So, like, it was the attention to detail that Jimmy McGuinness brought to it, and he did win it on the line. Cork adapted their game. They sacrificed Paddy Kelly, pushed them up. They didn't get any return from it. They did have a good first half. They were well in the game. You know, you probably would have said Cork were marginally better in the first half and deserved to be ahead, but certainly better team won, no doubt about it.
And Tony Davis, outstanding midfielder, it's Glenn Swilly's Neil Gallagher.
Neil, congratulations today. Obviously, midfield is always a key battle area in any game, so it must be nice then in an All-Ireland semi-final to manage to get your hands on so much clean ball from the air.
Aye, too bad. Like, it's a lot of big men and all out there, like, so there's tight going, and there are a lot of kick-outs and whatnot, like, you know, so, you know, if you get a lot of possession around the middle, it obviously helps you going forward, and, you know, when you have all that possession, and you can get more scores on the board, I suppose.
You know what else must help is when you have a crowd like that, not just the volumes of Donegal people, but you are a noisy bunch.
Sport was great, you know. Jim said it after, like, too, in the change room, that, you know, a great support out there, like, you know, they turned up in their thousands, like, and they were a great help, especially when things were getting tight there, you know. You could hear the roar and stuff, you know, and all the supporters are good and passionate about the football, and they're a good help to us, you know.
Well, you gave them plenty of reason to cheer even louder. Well done, you are our man of the match. And Des O'Mahony from Super Value is here to present you with your award.
Congratulations, well done.